Hello. How is everyone? How is everyone doing tonight? Hello, hello. Welcome to Technique Talk Tuesday. I am just trying to find the live on my iPad so that I can answer questions. Hello, hello. Hey, Marilyn. Danny. I am just trying to figure out, I have a new iPad and well, trying to figure out where things are clearly is a challenge. How's it going on this fine Tuesday, ladies? All right, I got my comments. Hello, Marty, Lori, Holly, Winifred. Hello, hello. So, our first Technique Tuesday. So, we are going to talk about, hey Renee, we are going to talk about embossing powder. I want to show you a really quick technique. I was, thinking about the Technique Tuesdays and don't want to take up too much of your time. So these techniques are going to be quick hitters. So these lives, hey Kim, will be 15 minutes or less. And we'll be learning some great new techniques. So as you can see here, I did this little tag. This tag, these little gnomes are A All and Create stamps. And then this is the gnome sentiment stamp set that we have. I think it's from Impression Obsession, maybe? Renee can confirm that for me. But anyway, this tag just is a background that I had. And this little grid in the back is the technique that I am going to show you. It is super fun and super, super easy to give a little dimension or texture to your background. So I'm going to get right to it, okay, ladies? So I've got some paper and a tag that I've already inked on. I just pulled them out of my stash. Hey, Tammy. And we just got in a big shipment of Wow embossing powders. And we also have their embossing pad. And I'll just really quickly talk about this embossing pad. It is embossing ink that is slow drying, as you can see on the lid here, and it really does make a difference because it lets you work with your embossing powder, or if you're not prepared like I sometimes am not and I forget to take the lid off my powder, it gives you some time. So let's talk about a couple of things that you need to consider when you're using embossing powder. First, the background or the tag or the whatever you're embossing on has to be completely dry, because if anything is wet, then your embossing powder is going to stick where you don't want it to. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the difference between a regular heat gun like the Tim Holtz heat gun, and I use that one for embossing too because it heats up really nicely, it is that that particular one does take a little bit longer. But what I like about it is that the fan doesn't blow really hard, so it doesn't blow your embossing powder off. But this type of a gun is a actual embossing heat tool, so it directs the heat to where you're embossing a little bit better, but it does blow really strong, so you have to be careful with something like that. And it does heat up, so you have to be careful with that too. You want to always keep your heat tool moving where you're embossing. And I've learned in some of the retailer education that I've been doing with Renee is that sometimes it's better to heat from the bottom so that you don't blow your embossing powder off. But okay, let's get to it. So this particular technique, so that you can get these nice lines, is done with a credit card. This is actually a hotel key. That works too. An old gift card works. You just are going to use the straight edges. And I am going to use this black embossing powder on this one. So let's put this underneath so that we have something to dump our excess embossing powder on. But I mean, this is a quick and easy one, and I just love the look that you get from it. So all you're going to do is take the edge of your card and dip it in your embossing powder, and then just set it down, and you're going to get some lines with the embossing powder. You can move it around, create a grid, offset your lines, put them close together, put them far apart. But you really just have to dip it in the ink and touch it down on your paper. It's just really that simple. And then you're going to pour your embossing powder on. I'm going to shut that so I don't dump my... All right, and then you'll tap it off. Now another trick too is to have a dry paintbrush handy, and you can kind of brush off. And this was completely dry, so I'm not really sure why it's stuck there, but you can use a dry paintbrush to brush out some of that pesky embossing powder that is in a place where you don't want it. So we're going to put all of our excess powder back into our container, because waste not, want not, right? I know you guys probably don't hear that from me very often. I kind of waste sometimes. Okay, so then you'll just take your, and this is going to be loud. Oh, you're right, Marilyn, I could have done that. But you know what? This was perfectly dry, so I'm surprised that it did that. And then I'm going to heat from the bottom. Get that going. I kind of want to keep this here so you can see what happens to the embossing powder. I don't know if any of you have never used embossing powder, but I love to watch what happens when it gets heated up and starts melting. It's kind of mesmerizing to watch how it changes. Can you see? I don't know if you can see how it changes and it becomes shiny. And underneath I am keeping my heat tool moving so I don't scorch my paper. Once you get it going and it starts to melt, then you can take your heat tool on the top because it's already going to be sticking. Make sure that we get everything melted. And voila, look at how we got these lines. I don't ever do a straight line, so, but you could have some straight lines if you wanted to. But isn't that a cool background? And you know what? I'm going to do another one with some white embossing powder, but I'm going to try to see if my embossing tool makes a difference. Even on a dry surface. So we do have these embossing tools from the Rabbit Hole Design in the store, and let's just powder up this thing and see if it makes a difference. And I might be convinced that I need to use my powder tool all the time. All right, so let's do white so you can see how the white will look also. It is a really fun background. I love just a random grid like this. Just gives a little bit of, I don't know, texture, dimension. All right, so let's have a paper here. So I'm going to go off the page over here and kind of do it over here. Kind of in the corner. But really, you just have to dip it, and you don't have to, you know, pat it or dab it. Just one time setting it on there really gives you enough of the embossing ink on the side of that card. All right, let's see. Do a little touch up here. I don't know if the embossing tool does seem to help a little bit, and I don't know if I'm just being messy with my embossing powder. That is very possible. I'm not a neat and tidy crafter, as a lot of you know. So, I mean, you can do as many lines as you want or as few lines as you want, and it just really gives a nice background. I really do like it a lot. But you'll notice if you've been in the store that we have a lot of new embossing powders from WOW, some really nice colors. We picked some colors that coordinate with a lot of our custom Michigan things. So there's some teals and some grays to coordinate with all those products that we've got in the store. Sorry, I'm off camera here. Gotta be careful with your heat tool so you don't burn your little fingers, like I tend to do. There we go. Look how quick and easy that technique is, and it really does give you some fun background. See, we can take another one of our gnomes, and it just really gives a great background. So I really do recommend this embossing pad. And then I'll show you some of the colors that this is called Bang, and it's got the teal and it's mixed with silver and some white, which are all colors in our custom papers. And then this one is it's called Oasis, that coordinates really nicely also. Yeah, Mary, the white is really bright, isn't it? So if you have a darker background, it really will show up. So, any questions, ladies? I'm gonna go back and see if I missed anything. So this was a technique that we learned from WOW embossing powder directly in our education, but it's just a technique that I absolutely love, and it's just so easy to use with the embossing powder. So we've got I've got all kinds of technique talks planned coming up. We're gonna do a 5-week series on embossing powder. So make sure that if you want to play along, you check out the new embossing powders that are in the store. We've got some really fun new colors. WOW makes some great product. And of course, we also have other embossing powders in the store as well. There's some Ranger. I think we've got some Hero Art. Those all work too. And I hope that you guys had fun with our quick technique talk and learned something new and fun to try. All right, I'll give it another second. Oh, that is some serious glare in the thing, isn't it? Sorry about that. I'll have to rearrange my lighting. Questions? Anybody have any questions? Hey, Lynette. Hey, Susan. All right, well, we will be saving this if you didn't catch it from the beginning, or if you need to refer back to it. On our page, and then also on our YouTube channel. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining me tonight. And I will look forward to next week's Technique Talk Tuesday with another really fun tip for using embossing powder. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Have a super evening.